Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Take. I'm your host, Krishna Mano, and in today's episode, we'll be talking to the author of 2 books and the community leader who was the first ever guest on this show. He's now a candidate for the 2026 Michigan Senate seat. Please welcome to the show Dr. Abdul El-Sayed. Dr. Abdul, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It's an honor to have you on the show for a second time.
Krishna, it was my privilege. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
It's been a few years since you were last with us, so could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do today?
Yeah, so look, I'm a public health doctor. I came by it honestly. My folks immigrated to this country from Egypt, and I saw the stark differences in life expectancy between what my cousins, aunts and uncles, grandparents had and what folks had in the communities I grew up in. But I also understood that that wasn't true for everybody in America. I could go 15 hours to Egypt or 15 minutes to Detroit and travel the same 10-year life expectancy gap. And I wanted to fix that as a physician. I rebuilt Detroit's health department and most recently served Wayne County as its Director of Health, Human and Veteran Services. Across my public health leadership, I've led everything from basic vaccines to health insurance for small businesses to eliminating medical debt for upwards of 300,000 people to putting Narcan in places where people could get it to taking on air quality challenges to make sure that folks could breathe clean air where they were to helping to rewrite policies to do everything from fix our lead challenges in Michigan to negotiating prescription drug prices as an advisor to the Biden campaign back in 2020. So my work has always been about trying to understand how to make people healthier and wealthier and do so in ways that government can uniquely do. And now I'm running for U.S. Senate in a campaign built to do 3 simple things, and that's to take money out of our politics that has been corrupting our system for far too long, to put money in people's pockets by standing up to huge corporations, making it easier to build and scale small businesses or to join or form a union, and to pass Medicare for all to finally guarantee health care for everyone.
Absolutely. And when looking at this Senate election that you're now running for, what was the turning point or the moment that made you want to run in this election, or has this been a thing that you've wanted to do all along?
Krishna, you got to imagine, I was sitting in my office the day that the Trump administration decided to freeze federal funds. I'm looking at all of the line items that are frozen. Our WIC program, Women, Infants, and Children, that literally puts food on the table for moms and babies. Our vaccines program that protects kids against diseases that we have forgotten about because we haven't seen them up until now, and the mis and disinformation that's been driving vaccines. Our program to provide federally qualified healthcare, so basic healthcare for people who otherwise wouldn't get it. And on the same day, I hear that our current U.S. Senator, after a long and storied career, has decided not to run. And I had to ask myself, where is the fight for the things that I value? The ability for government to deliver for people by putting more money in their pockets and empowering them to live longer, healthier lives. And right now, as you look at what the Trump administration is doing, I think that fight has to be in the U.S. Senate, holding that administration accountable, but also driving toward legislation that finally allows us to address the circumstances that have made it way too hard for too many people in our society to do simple things like afford groceries that grow their brains instead of their bellies, or go see a doctor without worrying about falling into medical debt.
Definitely. And currently, as a nation and a state, we obviously face a great deal of issues in all facets of society, from our economy to even the basic values of our democracy. So which ones do you think are the most urgent ones that need to be addressed quickly, and how would you go about solving them if elected to the U.S. Senate?
I'm going to reframe the question because we talk a lot about saving democracy, and oftentimes you hear that from people whose lives are doing okay. I think for all of us, it just shouldn't be this hard, but for some people, it's so much harder. And if our democracy isn't solving the basic economic challenges that people have in their lives, the ability to work the job tomorrow that you worked today and you worked yesterday and know that it's going to be able to deliver the wages you need to be able to protect your children, or the ability to afford that second bag of groceries, or the ability to go see a doctor. If our democracy isn't delivering on those things, then it's very difficult for us to be talking about this esoteric idea of democracy. So the way that we save democracy, we protect democracy from all Donald Trump is doing to tear basic rights apart, whether it's the right to due process or habeas corpus, the way we save that democracy is by making sure it's delivering for folks' basic needs. And the problem, I hate to say it, is that for far too long, people on both sides of the aisle, both parties, have been party to a system that allows corporations to buy and sell politicians so that they can rewrite the rules in their favor and against the rest of us. And so I think that the way we save democracy is to unrig it and to take it back to its core ideals rather than a government for corporations and by corporations. I believe in a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's how you make democracy work. So the challenges are one and the same. We don't have to prioritize. Our job is to make democracy work by making democracy deliver for folks in their daily lives.
Absolutely. And you talk about this issue of like a disconnect of sorts between the politicians and the people they're supposed to serve in your past speeches, in your books, like Healing Politics. And what do you see that's lacking in our current system? And that's something that you could put into place, and many people would sign on to that. What specific type of policy do you think would be largely popular to the people in order to solve this issue we face today?
I think we could start at Medicare for all, right? There's a reason that too many politicians don't talk about it, even despite the fact that there are so many people who are so frustrated with the insurance industry as it stands, whether it's the increasing prices that they have to pay in premiums or deductibles, or it's the fact that you have to fight your health insurance just to use the healthcare you thought you already paid for. That issue, right, has been plied over by health insurance money going to the campaign coffers of politicians on both sides of the aisle. So you see nobody willing to actually step up and say, we actually don't need the insurance industry in the way that it operates right now. Look, if you want to keep your union negotiated or employer negotiated healthcare as an add-on, that's fine, but you shouldn't have to rely on it in the case where your factory closes down or you lose your job. We could and can and should and must pass Medicare for all to guarantee healthcare for people in the richest, most powerful country in the world. And that's one of those issues that demonstrates how democracy could actually deliver for people in their daily lives. And when it's delivering solutions that to problems you know you have, then you're going to trust it to be able to protect you from problems you don't yet have.
Definitely. And on that note, at a time when it seems like we need Medicare so much for so many Americans, alongside a lot of welfare programs, as of recent, with the passage of the Big Beautiful Bill under the Republican-led Congress, President Trump's approval rating, especially with the middle class, has taken a big hit. So if elected to Congress in 2026, what do you think can be done to restore some of these essential welfare programs straight out of the ground that transcend party lines and affect many Americans regardless of their political affiliation?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I'm gonna reframe it a little bit. You know, the idea that government provides us things that's not like it's happening for free. Like we pay for that. And so it's not just welfare, it's collective well-being that we invest our money in government to provide, right? And so I think we can start by just repealing that big, beautiful bill, right? Rather than pass tax cuts for the richest people in our society to gut Medicaid and then put most of the cost onto your generation and the generation that comes after you, I think we just do the opposite. I think we need to tax wealth in ways that, you know, if you're holding on to more than 20 million, 30 million bucks, right? I think you could stand to pay a little bit more, pay your fair share so that we can give everybody in our society, including you, universal access to healthcare. I think that's the kind of America that most people want. And I think folks would rather not be in a situation where we're taking away people's healthcare access, we're destroying their local hospital in rural and urban communities so that people who make $4.3 million a year can make an additional $400,000 a year. I don't think that's the American dream. That's not what I'm signing on to. And so I think we start with repealing that big, ugly bill. And then we move forward by saying, you know what, we should just do the opposite. Why don't we tax the wealth of the richest people in our society to make sure that everybody in our society, including them, has guaranteed access to healthcare?
Definitely. And now when we're looking at the Democratic Party, which is what you're running for as a candidate for the 2026 election, when we're looking at the fact that despite the Big Beautiful Bill having a lot of opposition from the Democrats, with other major policy bills under this Trump administration, we've been seeing limited to no pushback against some of these policies. So as a member of and candidate for the Democratic Party, do you believe that the party leadership is doing enough to put up a strong fight against President Trump and his Republican-led Congress?
I mean, I think the obvious answer is no, because, you know, they're getting run roughshod over, and there is a loud and very annoying stream of tastemakers out there telling us that the best thing we can do is roll over and play dead. I'm sorry, but I value our democracy and I value the American public way too much to play dead. I think right now is the time to step up and fight. And we're running a campaign that is about fighting, but it's not about fighting against, it's about what we fight for, right? We're fighting for guaranteed access to healthcare. We're fighting to take so much of that corrupting money out of our politics by codifying an end to Citizens United. And we're fighting to put more money in people's pockets by empowering them to join or form a union or to build and scale a small business so that instead of having billionaires, right, you have many people in their local community building awesome companies so that they can build opportunity for their local communities and scale the ideal of what capitalism was supposed to be, right? This idea that you have huge corporations that dominate every sector of our lives, I don't think that's what the initiators of the capitalist system in this country were imagining. They wanted everybody to be able to have an opportunity to build something for themselves. And I believe in that too. So I'd like to get us back to that. And that means standing up to the corporations that have been dominating and corrupting the system for a very long time.
For sure. And when looking at Citizens United and, the impact that political action committees have had on our past elections, most recently with the 2024 elections, a lot of Democratic leaders have been saying that Democrats should respond by raising the same amount of money from those exact same billionaires. Do you think that this is the accurate response, or rather more grassroots movements are what actually takes the big buck in the final election?
And it's like saying when you see somebody headed for a cliff that you race them to the cliff. I don't think that's working for people. The goal here isn't just to win an election. The goal is to win the future for the American public, and a future where our politicians and our politics are plied with corporate dollars to do corporate means and ends. I think that's going to be bad for everybody. So I think our job is to take on the system that has allowed our politics to get corrupted in the first place rather than to get more of it. It's like, you see a bowl of poison, they're like, they're eating the poison. So why don't we eat more poison? Well, I just think that's a dumb idea.
For sure. And when looking at you personally as a candidate, Dr. Abdul, what qualities or experience do you believe that you bring to the table that your potential or declared opponents in this Senate race, both Republican and Democrat, don't have? Why should Michigan voters trust you to be our voice in the halls of Congress?
I'll tell you, it's a lot more about what I'm not. I'm not a career politician. I'm not interested in climbing the greasy ladder. I'm a doctor who came into politics because I realized that too much of what made people sick in the first place sat downstream of terrible decisions of a politics that was dominated by corporations for their means rather than for the means of everyday folks who would have been my patients. And so we have a responsibility to take our politics back. I'm a career public servant. I'm somebody who's made government work for people, whether it's eliminating medical debt or putting glasses on kids' faces or making sure that folks could breathe clean air. And we're running a campaign that is about taking on the pathologies in our politics. That's why we want to take money out of politics, put money in people's pockets, and finally pass Medicare for all.
Definitely. Thank you. And in the past few weeks that you've been on the campaign trail and traveling all across Michigan, what's been your most fun and exciting experience that you've had?
Ah, there have been so many. The beautiful thing about campaigning is that people share themselves with you. And I love people. I always have. And I'm so grateful to people when they give you a small piece of themselves in their experiences. They invite you into their homes and into their communities, and they share what they have with you and their networks with you, and they open up a vantage point into their lives. And whether it's been spending time in churches in Southeast Michigan or spending time with Sioux tribal elders up in Sault Ste. Marie, or it's spending time with folks on the lake out in West Michigan. I'm just so grateful for the space I've had. We also do a series of ice cream socials, and anybody knows me knows I love ice cream. So that's a lot of fun too.
That's awesome. What's your most favorite flavor?
Oh, that's a hard question, man. The classics to me, the cookies and cream or moose tracks, like those are always go to. There's this Michigan flavor, I don't know, I've never seen it outside of Michigan. It's called Bear Claw, and it's a dark chocolate ice cream with chocolate covered cashews and caramel ribbon, which is phenomenal. If you're getting the sense here, I'm very much like a chocolate, peanut butter, caramel, nuts forward kind of ice cream connoisseur.
I can tell, and that's a good taste to have for sure. And on an even more lighter note, as someone who is now looking to represent Michigan at a nationwide office, what do you view as the most Michigan thing? What's your most favorite stereotype for our state?
Man, I think it's the grit. Like there's something about Michiganders where we're very earnest and gritty. Like we're just going to show up and we're going to outwork you. That's just what we do. And I love that. You think about like the origin of Detroit style pizza was auto workers on the line taking the casts and then making their grandma's recipe out of it. Like if that's not like classic Detroit, I don't know what it is. Take something beautiful and build it out of the grit of what you do every single day. And so, as I'm traveling the state and I'm learning and listening to people, it's that grit. People don't want you to show up and fix it all for them. They want to be partners in fixing it. And that's what our politics is supposed to be, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build with Michiganders. A lot of folks tell me, well, Abdul, your name's Abdul, so it's not possible that you could possibly win an election in Michigan. And my point is that this is not about, me. This is about all of us showing up and putting our shoulder into the work. And when they tell me I can't win, what they're telling all these Michiganders who are showing up to be a part of it is that they can't win. And I think that by building a campaign that is not about one person, but is about a movement of people coming together and putting their shoulders in the work, like there is nothing more Michigan than that. And I will bet on Michigan every single day.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdul, for joining us on the show today. It's been an honor to have you.
I'm honored to be with you. Thank you so much for the time, and grateful for the great conversation.